This one goes out to anyone who has had a vision that they have yet to take action on. In this episode, you'll hear from my former client and founder of Elevated Creatives, Laura Symons. She'll share her tips on getting started, advice to help you get out of your own way, and a guaranteed way to help you build confidence quickly. Laura Symons has been in the industry of hair since the age of 19. She began her career assisting and then quickly graduated into becoming a full-time hairstylist. Within a few short years, she became one of the salon's top producing stylists and began mentoring other associates. Laura continued her journey of mentorship by stepping into the world of education and became a national educator for HairDreams. Several years ago, she made a major move across the country, rebranded herself in a new city, and built her clientele from the ground up once again. Now Laura has decided to grow herself further. She has stepped into her gift of mentoring and established Elevated Creatives, an inclusive group dedicated to growing other like-minded hairdressers. She's not only passionate about helping her clients feel incredible, but she has a calling to mentor and empower other hairdressers who are looking to create an ideal business with an elevated mindset. This conversation is part of my special 10-episode client feature where I'm featuring incredible clients who inspire me. If you're interested in working with me, a great place to start would be heading to my website, www.rubyfremon.com, where I've got all of my trainings, including a free training and coaching offers there for you to see. Today's episode is sponsored by the Mayfair Hotel and Eve American Bistro in downtown LA, home of my annual 3-day event, Amplified Soul Live. The 2019 event takes place February 22nd to the 24th. For info and tickets, head to rubyfremon.com/ASL. Now it is time to continue this fun 10-episode client feature with Laura Symons. Welcome to today's Thought Leader, where I'm challenging you to rise up, speak up, and create a movement. I'm your host, Ruby Fremon, and I'm here as a catalyst for you, the new generation of thought leaders. Join me every week as I dive into raw and real conversations that will help you amplify your presence, influence, and impact. Hey, thought leaders, I am back. It is Monday, and we are continuing my very, very special client feature with 10 episodes featuring 10 incredible clients who inspire me, and this woman is no different. Laura, you are incredible. Things have shifted so much since our paths first crossed, and I don't know, when was that? How long ago was that?
I was thinking that this morning, actually.
A year? No.
It's been a little over a year ago. It's been about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
But I didn't really talk to you for the first 6 months because I connected with you through another program. And then I was really reluctant to call you.
Yeah. So the funny thing about Laura is she somehow discovered me on Instagram. Why don't you tell this story? Because it's really interesting to me.
So I was in a place in my life where I was looking for something and I didn't know what that thing was. And I was scrolling through Instagram. I stumbled across Ruby's page. I followed her and then I stalked her website. I went ahead and started getting her emails, and a couple emails started popping up about this life-changing program that she took that launched her coaching. And it intrigued me because I was, again, looking for this thing that I couldn't find. Mm-hmm. And I decided literally, I think I got 5 or 6 emails, and it was the last day. And I think it was the last nth hour that I chose to sign up for it. And I clicked subscribe and I signed up for it. And then I immediately had buyer's remorse. And I was like, what the fuck did I just do? Because it was a lot of money for not knowing what I just signed up for.
Yeah. And let me just time out right there for the listeners. This is the power of when you're promoting something. Yes, continue to promote until the 10th hour because people buy at the last minute, like Laura. Okay, go on. Buyer's remorse.
So buyer's remorse kicked in. Oh man, this is funny. And after I was really contemplating canceling after 2 weeks because I got into this program. I didn't know this woman. I learned about her and I really do enjoy her content now. And I just wasn't sure if it was really what I should be doing, but something told me to stick through it. Mm-hmm. So I dove into her workshops, and I was about, I would say in week 4 or so of her workshops,
And
But
this is someone else's program.
this is someone else's program. Ruby was an affiliate.
Yes.
So this is how Ruby gets tied into this. So with signing up, I was gifted 2 one-on-one coaching calls with her, and I almost didn't do those 2. I was in a really weird place in my life, and I didn't know the gift I had in front of me. So I decided again, the last minute, I think it was like 30 days out, I had 2 calls to use, and I chose to use one of them just to see what would happen. And I took the 1-hour phone call with Ruby, and I fell in love with her, and I decided to obviously take the second phone call, and then I wanted to work with her from then on out. I just didn't know how. I was finding a way how to work with her.
Yeah. And I love this story, and I wanted you to share it because you just never ever know how your path is going to cross with like your next client or someone who's going to buy your product. And it's just really interesting because prior to you finding me on Instagram, like we didn't know each other at all. And now,
not
and
at
now
all.
we've done a retreat together. We've done really fun things together.
Yes.
Together.
I found out that you're Canadian, and that was even a bigger selling point.
Yeah. So why don't you tell our listeners what it is that you do, but before you dive into what you do today, share a bit of the story that it took to get to where you are today. Because listeners, Laura is a thought leader in her industry. And I know a lot of people think about thought leadership and they think personal development, life coaching, motivational speaking, but thought leadership is really about becoming a recognized and sought after expert in your respective industry. It's about really having opinions and influence and impact in whatever industry that is. And that comes from you using your voice and your gifts. So Laura, share a little bit of that story.
Well, thank you for saying that. I still am embodying the thought leader tag because I still feel like I'm getting my feet wet and understanding what this role really embodies. But I have been a hairdresser for 15 years, and I started at a salon in Indianapolis doing hair as an assistant, growing in their program, and I began to mentor other associates, so assistants in my salon. And I really enjoyed coaching other people, but at that time it was such a small scale that I was working upon. I really am business minded. So I've always been really creative, but I've also really enjoyed the business aspect. So business came easy to me in my salon, and I always wondered why other people struggled. And being naive and judgmental and young, like in our 20s, we think we know everything. I'm like, oh, they just don't know. They're just not smart enough.
Yeah.
But little did I know that it was, at that time, I look back, it was really a gift. I just didn't know how to use it properly. So I dove into doing educating, and I've been educating with the same company for 8 years now. And they're based out of LA. And
Do you want to give them a little plug?
Yes, HairDreams is actually the company that I educate with. They specialize in extensions and hair replacement, and it's an amazing, life-changing aspect to my business that I love and thoroughly enjoy. So I post a lot of stuff on my Instagram with them too. So I love what I do. Like, I literally love what I do. I love going to work. I love working with my clients. I love how I get to change lives. And I just have really had a huge passion for it for a very long time. So I end up moving. I was married previously, and we moved to Texas. So I picked up my life and I relocated. And I thought it would be easy to find a job. I thought it'd be easy to find friends. I thought it'd be easy to get a new clientele because I'm really badass. And it was really hard. It rattled me and it really shook me. And amongst that move, unfortunately, my ex and I divorced, and it was really life-changing. So at that point was when I was seeking out, what am I doing and what's next? So starting at my new salon, I built my business again from the ground up really quickly. And again, I took all the tools that I was given in my younger years at my previous salon and just the things that worked for me, and I adapted that, and I grew within a year and a half. And I was making more money than I had been previously. So something was working. And that's probably the very beginning of me thinking, what can I do with this knowledge? But I didn't know where to go with it. And then I stumbled across these programs and you, and working with Ruby. I was, I think, very, how do I put this? I was very timid, not very confident in my abilities. Knew that there was something that I wanted to do, but I didn't really know how to go about doing it. Not thinking there was a niche for it. Like, who am I to do this? Because this is possibly never been done unless it was a corporate company performing some type of business retreat per se.
Right.
So who's this one single girl who's only been doing hair for 15 years think she is to go out and start teaching other people how to do business and elevate their mindset when she has a really crazy past? And I just had a lot of limiting beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So I came to Ruby with a ton of what I didn't even know what limiting beliefs were at the time until I was educated on those, and really dove into who I was and where did this seed come from, and started watering it and growing it. And I am here today now, I can say, coaching other hairdressers and hosting workshops on a monthly basis, and still not really sure what I'm doing, but each month showing up and providing the best services that I can to my clients and empowering them.
Wow.
And it feels really amazing.
Yeah. It's really cool to me that within just what seems like a few months, you were able to take this desire, like what you really want to do, coach people, support them in growing and elevating their businesses. You were able to actually put that into action quite quickly. Once you understood and had a clearer vision of what that looked like, you were able to take action on it quickly. And even with that being said, that it wasn't like you had a crystal clear vision. You just knew.
Right. I did not have a crystal clear vision. I still feel really foggy at times. But I will say the one piece of advice that you gifted me was, you don't gain confidence without action. And I had to trust that. And I had to take the action in order to build that confidence, to know that this is a service that others truly want and need. I had a girlfriend of mine who I'm coaching to this day. She's become one of my best friends, but she is also one of my biggest cheerleaders and my best client to date right now. Mm-hmm. She's my one-on-one guest. But anyway, she came to me asking me, like, I want you to coach me, like begging me to coach her, because she saw the potential in me, and I as well saw the potential in working with her too. Mm-hmm. So it's just amazing the people that have shown up since I accepted this role.
Yeah. And it's really cool because I love that you shared the action piece, because you really just did dive in. And I think a lot of people spend way too much fucking time sitting and reflecting and trying to think about try to get the entire strategy mapped out of how they're going to do everything. And for you, I mean, you tell me, from the outside, I feel like you took a route that felt like it would be ease filled, like from where you wanted to do it to how you did it, which to me is so smart. Because I think a lot of us, including myself, we try to overcomplicate everything when we're launching something into the world by adding too many frills and gimmicks and by trying to do too many things. And so when we launch it, it never feels quite right. But it seemed like, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, you did it in a way that was like, what's the easiest way for me to get this out?
Yes. No, I think that's a great way of putting it. I've always been taught, start with who you know. And then move on from there. So I obviously need to start with people who knew me, liked me, and trusted me. And who's better than that than the people that I currently work with? Yeah. Because they know my character, they know my work ethic, they know who I am for the most part. And it was just, it was easier to reach out to those people that I already know. And if I heard a no, I heard a no, and who gives a fuck, move on. Right. But I think that for me to think about reaching out to people who don't know me, then I have to build the trust, and I have to let them to get to know me. And it just felt harder. And for me, not having the confidence, truly, I did not have the confidence starting this. It was easier to just dive in with those people that I know already.
Yeah, that's a really good piece of advice. Start with who you know. I think it's really easy for us to, especially in the world we live in that has social media, it's super easy to get caught up in, the thousands of people that we see on social media. Who am I going to try and get for my next client, or who's going to buy my next product? And we underestimate the power of our own community and the people that are actually around us and in our lives already. Like that, what a powerful way to kickstart something with your own community.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. And I think it's something we overlook. in all the aspects in our life.
Mm-hmm.
Even with support at times, we don't think about reaching out to those that we're closest to, maybe in fear of hearing the word no or being denied, but those
Mm-hmm.
are the people that are probably going to be there to show up and support us the best.
Yeah, definitely. Why don't you share some of the blocks that you faced in bringing elevated creatives to life? Like, what are some of the things you had to navigate through?
So myself was number one. I was my biggest roadblock. It was really interesting. I had this idea, but yet I kept denying it. I kept thinking I wasn't capable of doing 1A, running my own business. When as a hairdresser, that's what we do. We were entrepreneurs already.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you work under a company, you're still your own business to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't see myself as being an entrepreneur. And then I also faced a lot of what I thought would be criticism from others and judgments from others.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, some of that has happened. Some of that has shown its face, unfortunately. And you still just have to stick true to your why. Like, why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And not let that opinion derail you. And I will say I've struggled with it. I mean, that's definitely been difficult. But every time I show up and I am present with my clients, the reward that I receive back is so much greater than the monetary value and the growth I see them making. It's really, that's what feeds me. And that's why I want to do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my why. I have to remember that as my why.
Mm-hmm. So remembering your why is what, from what I heard, is what really helps you navigate through the shit like judgments.
Yes. Yeah, the judgments I think are the hardest because I think we judge ourselves way more than others judge us.
Mm-hmm.
And then
then we project our judgments onto others, and then we think other people are judging us. It's like this vicious, stupid cycle.
Yes, it is. It totally is. And then when someone actually does judge you, it feels like the whole world's collapsing and you're gonna die. So it's not that serious. It's not going to matter in 5 years. It shouldn't matter today.
Yeah. So I can almost guarantee that we have some thought leaders listening that are thinking to themselves, well, I have something that I've been wanting to take action on, but I'm getting in my own way. What would you say to them? Like, what advice would you give to them?
That's a good question. So I really would ask, what is your passion? You know, what is your passion behind this thought? And what is fueling that? And if you didn't see it through, would you regret it in a month from now? Would you regret it in a year from now? Or would it still be lingering in the back of your head thinking like, well, maybe I should be, then you keep like denying it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I really feel like if it's something that's strong and within you, to really get past the self-doubt and to just truly take action. One, surround yourself with people who do support you. And it doesn't have to be a huge group. It can be like 2 people.
Yeah.
But find your tribe, find your people that can support you. Hiring a coach, obviously, would be something I would recommend doing. I didn't really understand what a life coach was. And it took me to working with one to really embody and understand like what this woman, Ruby, does for me and how much she enriched my life. And it wasn't like I had daily contact with you, but the conversations we had were powerful enough to keep me moving in the direction that I was wanting to go. So accountability was magnificent. So find your tribe and hire a coach if you're in a place where you can afford it.
Yeah.
And then again, back to your passion and your why of that.
Yeah. And I think it's really important what you said about find your tribe, because you did have people in your life that were a little more judgmental, but you also had people like this friend who's now a client who you say is your biggest cheerleader. So I would imagine it's really, for you, it was a lot of like consciously shifting your energy and your gaze onto those who are actually supporting you versus those who are being judgmental.
Yes. And I was thinking about this morning, Ruby, even back to how you say, for instance, like confidence is a muscle. The more you use it, the better it gets. And the same thing goes with that. Like the more I practice focusing on who I'm here to serve and who are my biggest cheerleaders, even if they're not in my life every single day, the easier it feels. And the less I focus on those people that bring me down or make me feel bad about my choices because they just don't understand. Judgment comes from misunderstanding.
That's super powerful. Judgment comes from misunderstanding. So those of you who feel as though you're being judged in your life, remember that that comes from misunderstanding. I love that. That needs to be your next quote image for your Instagram feed.
I will do that.
So tell us a bit more about Elevated Creatives, which is your passion, what you feel is your purpose, what you're now evolving into. Tell us more about that.
So Elevated Creatives is my business. So I'm so proud to say that. And it is an inclusive group, specifically for hairdressers that are looking to grow their business as well create what I call an elevated mindset. So I approached this initially with how can I help empower hairdressers to create a business that provides an income that's comfortable to them. The number one thing that I hear from most hairdressers is I don't have enough money. I can't afford that. I can't take a vacation. I can't take time off work. And it's all this negative bullshit that they're carrying around in their head because they don't believe they're worthy of that.
Right.
And they probably haven't been taught proper tools of maybe how to sell themselves or talk about retail or create what I call a world-class experience in the salon. So I want to show other stylists, how do you create this business that feels really good to you? I don't want you to sound like me because I do my business one way, but the next person can be just as successful in their own voice. So I want them to create that for themselves, but I have a roadmap to show them how to do that.
Yeah.
And then like putting in a little bit of life coaching, a little bit of just life experience, a little bit of what I've learned. I'm a yogi. I love yoga. I think spirituality is really huge in my life and it really helps ground me. And then just helping with limiting beliefs and roadblocks that you're facing that might be preventing you from getting to where you want to be in your business. And I think it's a big niche that it's being slowly tapped into now, but it's definitely a need in my opinion.
Yeah, because in the hairstyling community, I remember you told me they teach you how to do hair, but they don't teach a lot of the other stuff. And
Right.
You've got like people sitting in your chair. I know this because I am that person that sits in my hairdresser's chair. You're basically like counselors and coaches.
Yes.
And you take on a lot of shit.
Yes. Yes. It's funny. I make this list every now and then of like, what are we? And I was writing down we're hairdressers, we're beauty consultants, we're therapists, we're friends, we're mentors, we're entrepreneurs, we're sales consultants, we're bookkeepers, we're time management people. I mean, we do a lot of different hats, and it's all within an hour. Like it's not like this goes on for days. Like it's an hour each person. So it's a lot of hats we wear.
Yeah. So the work that you're doing with other stylists is super important because you're helping them really achieve that mindset that's going to create a different environment. Because I know even just from my hairstylist, like that environment can be really demanding and really tough and can really impact how you feel on a day-to-day basis. And with Elevated Creatives and the elevated mindset, the aspect of that, you're really helping them amplify that positivity and that vibe and the energy in the work that they do, which is feels super important.
Yes, no, absolutely. Because I think there's nothing worse than showing up to your hairdresser say they're running 20 minutes behind, because that's happened to me. And then they have 2 clients that are there, or maybe 3 clients that are there at the same time. And you can feel the stress level coming off them. And it impacts the client. Like it impacts how they view the service that you're providing. So how can you be more grounded? And how can you, even if you have a chaotic day, take care of yourself and really just go home and not feel so exhausted, like you just got your ass kicked, but feel like I did my best for that day. I have all my clients leaving super happy. I love what I do. I don't hate my job. So I think it's just changing that mindset.
Yeah. And this is like I said at the beginning of this episode, Laura's story is a really fantastic example of being able to take thought leadership into any industry. Laura knows this industry in and out. She's been in it for 15 years. She's using her expertise to teach others. And this is, a lot of people look at, quote unquote experts or coaches or personal development gurus or whatever it is. And it seems like it's such a far-fetched goal when really all you need to be is a few steps ahead of your audience. That's it.
That's a really good point. No, I'm nodding my head right now. I'm like, yeah, a really good point.
Yeah, you only need to be a few steps ahead of your audience, and then you just continue to grow, right? Like Laura, you're still going to continue to educate yourself, and as you evolve, your clientele is going to evolve, and that's what's really important to understand. And my hope for everyone listening to this specific episode is that they understand that you can start with what you know and where you're at. All it takes is taking that one step, that one piece of action that's going to help you build the confidence and the momentum to keep going.
That is so true. I will say that is 100% true, because even as I've like 6 months ago or so, a little bit more than that, stepped into this role of coaching, I was very black and white on it's going to be about business and I'll do a little bit of spirituality. And now I get these downloads of like, how cool would it be to like maybe tap into breathing exercises and maybe implement some yoga, and maybe I'll take it more grounded. And my mind is like, it's expanding. It's not just staying in this little box. So to piggyback on that, it really is just taking that first initial step and then allowing it to naturally evolve.
Yeah. That's awesome. Laura, we are at the end of the episode. Do you have a final thought to share with our audience?
I do. And this is something that I've carried with me. I was gifted this actually from a friend. And it's something I tell myself when I get in really tough spots, that there are more people with you than against you.
That is so good. You're going to have to message me that. I love that one.
I will.
Laura, thank you so much for being here on today's Thought Leader. I appreciate you, and it's been such an honor just to support your journey and your evolution and witness your growth. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, for one. This was a real treat, and it's been a gift of me that you gave me to work with you, and all of your encouragement. So thank you so very much.
Why don't you tell our listeners how they can connect with you online?
I currently have a Facebook group called Elevated Creatives. If you look it up on the groups, you'll be able to find the link.
Yeah, I'll put all the links in the show notes, folks. Don't worry, they'll be there.
And in that group, I engage weekly, and I put little bouts of inspiration. I jump on and do lives. And there's a website in the making, so there'll be more ways to get in contact with me, to work with me.
So for now, the Facebook group is the best place. That's for Elevated Creatives, and the link will be in the show notes. And then you can also connect on IG, on Instagram.
Yes, on Instagram as well too.
Yeah, cool. And I'll have that link in the show notes as well. So thank you again, Laura, and to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on the special client feature on today's Thought Leader, where I'm challenging you to rise up, speak up, and create a movement. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, where I'm going to be featuring another amazing client and thought leader who inspires me. If you're interested in working with me, head on over to my website, rubyfremont.com. I've also got a really cool free online training there called CPR. And if you want to connect with me and Laura in person, you can join us in Los Angeles in February for my 3-day event called Amplified Soul Live. The link for that is rubyfremont.com/ASL. If you have any questions for me or Laura about this episode, please reach out to us on social media. The episode was sponsored by the Mayfair Hotel and Eve American Bistro, home of Amplified Soul Live 2019. Thank you again, Laura. Thank you, thought leaders. And I will see you here tomorrow for another special edition of today's Thought Leader.